Kirti, firstly, a warm welcome to you on Filme Shilmy. Thank you so much. I've been wanting to interview you for quite some time, and I'm really glad it's finally happening.
Well, I'm very, very glad to be here talking to you, Anuj. And thank you so much for wanting to talk to me so much. Yay!
एक दिली ख्वाहिश थी, as they say in Hindi.
23rd June 2020 को ये दिली ख्वाहिश पूरी हो गई है.
Definitely. I mean, speaking of Khwahish, Kirti, I think we've got to begin from the beginning itself for you. I mean, whilst preparing for this interview, I kind of read up that your sort of educational background lies in the area of journalism and mass communications. So, what drew you into acting?
Well, it's a very small part of my life. Of course, you journalists pick up on that particular part of my life and want to make sense of it. So yes, I did my postgraduate diploma in journalism and mass comm after I had finished my BMS. The idea of doing this course was not really to, okay, I'm going to become a journalist sometime. That really wasn't the idea. The idea was just to, okay, I finished studying business management now because I had science in 11th and 12th and I was bored. I didn't want to study it any further. So I said, what do we do next? So I did my business management. So once I finished that, I'm like, I'm done with business management. I really cannot follow it up with an MBA or something. So what do I do now? Just to, study and really educate myself. And that's how I chose this particular subject. And no, I had no plans to take away, snatch away your jobs, the jobs of all the journalists. I'm very happy being on the other side.
Yeah, let me tell you, I mean, if you think acting and that sort of side is crazy, I can tell you journalism is just as crazy, if not crazier.
I'm sure. I have no doubts about that. I really don't. And I know, really, like having, been in this field and having watched you guys talk to us and do what you do, I'm like, I can't imagine what these guys go through. Thank God I didn't decide to become a journalist.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, but I think, you know what, I think with whatever field you choose to do, I think it's important to be passionate about it. I think that's something that I always believe in. I mean, even for someone like you, for example, you kind of broken in the industry without any sort of filmy connections, so to speak. You're a fresh talent who's managed to create waves over time. So how difficult was it for you to initially break through into the industry?
Initially, so the plan was always to do films, and breaking into films is something that is actually, I don't know if it happens, at least then it wasn't about you enter, you give your pictures and, well, it might have happened to some people, but it didn't happen to me. What happened to me, there were some ways to kind of be seen, and advertising was my way. I mean, you could be you could have joined fashion industry. You could have been you could have participated in one of those beauty pageants or something, Miss India's and all that. But my way was TV commercials, and so breaking into TV commercials wasn't very tough for me personally, because I think it's a world that purely runs on, they need fresh faces like all the time, and it's not about, except for celebrities or public or important people endorsing certain brands, you need regular people and regular faces for all other things, so breaking into that was not that tough at all for me. And so in that way, I think the inherent operations of advertising industry is something that is very fair if you just look at it, so but the plan, as I said, was to always act in films. And I started doing theater simultaneously, because I'm like, if I start believing that I can act on the basis of doing 30-second and 60-second commercials, it's I'll be fooling myself. So I started training, and I started training simultaneously, doing theater workshops, doing a lot of theater. And then, of course, once you start doing one thing, then if it becomes
Yeah.
popular, then people call you for the other thing. So it's like a chain reaction that happens,
Exactly.
and and then the casting directors and everyone starts calling you, and well, you just wait. It's just about when will it happen for you. You keep
Right.
testing, you keep bringing meeting people, and so yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Sharan and Khichdi happened in the beginning,
And
the
do you
first
know,
ones.
you know what? It's actually really funny as well, because like I mentioned as well, when I was reading up on you and your sort of background, I was like, oh my God, this is Parminder from Khichdi the movie. I was like, oh my God, what? I was like, it's just,
Why does Parminder feel so personal to everyone? Like, I mean, I've recently started getting a lot of messages where on my Instagram where people are like, "Oh my God, are you Parminder from Khichdi?" And I'm like, yeah, So I think I don't know, but yeah, I get that like all the time with Khichdi.
I think one thing that I've noticed actually about your characters in particular, they seem to be quite conflicted between what society expects from them versus their own desires. I mean, they're often faced with this choice of whether they go for what's right or for what is right for them. I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've realized. So, is this something you intentionally look out for in your roles?
Anuj, if you look at the way everyone is, if you truly look at it, this is a conflict that all of us have inside of us. It's just that most of us are not aware of this. The degrees might differ, but we all have to constantly fight the conditioning that we have been through all this time versus what we truly want. So I think what I truly represent is actually just just another person. I'm representing the people who are amidst us, who are amongst us, and in huge numbers. It's just that, as I said, we don't realize it. So,
Hmm.
and of course, this combination, like me being an actor and me doing what I do, is not. It's not like, oh, this is separate from who Kirti is. Of course, my growth as an actor and my growth and choices as a person, they almost go hand in hand. And it's obviously even me, like I have had to. This is a constant fight
Sure.
in sometimes in small ways, sometimes in big ways, and uh, I think this is what truly represents humans.
Hmm.
The whole conflict of humans, and
Hmm.
it's just that I think we are so used to watching, like especially Bollywood used to be, most of it used to be made of just one-dimensional characters. You saw
Yeah.
like a hero, you saw like a heroine, and you saw them a certain way,
Yeah.
and you didn't really know them as people.
Right.
And the way cinema is changing now, people want to know more about you as a character. That's what's interesting for them. They don't want to see us. They don't want to see someone just a figure larger than life who can do whatever, and they want to see real people, and real people are conflicted all the time.
Hmm. I mean, why do you think that whole sort of preference in seeing such characters has changed? What do you think has contributed towards that increasing want and desires of the audience to see such ordinary human characters on screen?
I think just the fact that we are all finally growing up. You know,
The way you
I
just
mean,
the way you just say that, just like, yeah, we're all growing up. Deal with it, people.
yeah, I think, of course, I mean, you grow up with all the exposure that you get, in
Yeah.
your life. And I think the fact that today's generation is so exposed to what's happening in the West, like the not just what's happening in the West in terms of what's really happening there, which is of course accessible to you, but also in terms of cinema, in terms of the kind of work that happens here, as films and series, and what kind of stories they tell. So there's a lot of influence of the West, thanks to all the OTT platforms, starting from Netflix and everything else. So I think that exposure has left a huge impact on the audiences today, and they when it's like, if I don't look at myself as an actor and I look at the kind of content I like to watch from internationally, and when I have to choose something here, I want to have something that matches up to that. Otherwise I don't want to waste my energy and time on just watching something which is just frivolous, and which is just like, I mean, I think people are also shifting from the whole idea of cinema is here to entertain you, to the idea of it can actually make a difference, which is what cinema has always stood for. But
Right.
of course, it's what has been getting made in the name of cinema is, except for some part of it, a lot of it is very, very frivolous, very, very superficial, very, very, oh,
Mm.
come and get some popcorn and have fun. People now want to be like, show me something real. People are shifting towards, I want to see real people, I want to see real lives, I want to see real, as I said, real conflicts. I want to see me there. I don't want to
Mm.
see a superhero. I don't want to see somebody who's like, who's got six packs and who's like, looks like a stud and can do everything in life. It is not real.
Yeah.
And I think this is a huge change in the mindset that's happening, and which is great. Like, I personally feel very, very glad about it, because that's the kind of work I like to do.
Sure.
And I wouldn't want to waste being an actor on just doing nothing. So I'm
No.
glad that there are people who are ready to consume the difference that we are trying to make.
Absolutely. I think I just want to pick up on that, on what you just said. I think the word entertainment itself is overrated. I think it's very open to interpretations, and people often use the word to associate different types of things. So, what, according to you, does entertainment mean?
For me, entertainment is something that stirs my soul, something that makes me happy, something that makes me smile, not in a way of, um, I don't know why. I mean, people might view me as, not view me as, but there are people who view me as someone who's a very serious actor. Not that
Mm.
I've ever understood the meaning of it, but I'm sorry, but sorry if I don't find frivolity interesting. I'm sorry if I do not like to waste my time on watching stuff that I don't find creative. Being an artist, I want to see something beautiful. I want to listen to something beautiful. I want to go and travel and seek beauty there. So for me, anything that fulfills my soul creatively, fulfills my heart with love, fills my mind with ideas, just that's entertaining for me. That's
Mhm.
entertainment for me.
Mm. And also, it must also be pointed out that again, your roles are very quite headstrong. They're very determined on. They're quite sorted, actually. I think that's the best way to summarize them, regardless of whether the decisions are wrong or right. I think that's one thing that I can sort of vouch for, is that your characters are sort of, they have, वो एक बार जो उन्होंने कमिटमेंट कर लिया, वो कभी भी हिलते
अपनी भी
नहीं
नहीं
हैं
सुनते,
decisions.
वो अपनी
हाँ,
भी नहीं
exactly. To sort of add in a Bollywood commercial reference there. Um, so what is your view on the word empowerment, and the way this whole word empowerment is actually represented in Indian cinema? What's your whole view on that?
Well, there was a time that I used to look at this word empowerment in a way that it's something outside of us. It's something that we need to do something, we need to get something to feel empowered.
Hmm.
And the fact and the lack of it means that you are not empowered to begin with. And I think over the last couple of years I have started questioning this whole idea also that's being sold. It's like, I sell you the idea of making you strong. I can do that only by making you believe that you're weak. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yes, I get it. I get what you
Like
mean. I
like
get
the
what you
way
mean.
the whole advertising thing works. You they work on the idea of lack, that you don't have enough of this, but we can give you this and you can feel better about yourself.
Mm.
It's the whole thing, that game. So
Yeah.
I think for the last couple of years, I'm like, why do I even come from a space of I need to be empowered? you know why am I not, why don't I feel, why isn't it enough that I'm human, that I'm not even talking about being a woman and men here, being a woman or a man here, because usually empowerment is attached to this whole idea of women empowerment, which is great.
Exactly.
but
Mm.
but I'm saying let's look at everyone from a human perspective.
Sure.
So
Without the
I'm
gender.
so yeah, so I'm saying that for me the idea is to start believing all this. And when if you're going to sit down and ask me, so how do you start believing in yourself? Well, it's a lot of things, and it's a discussion for a better time, and a longer discussion when you get into these things. But it's also a journey that one has to take to arrive at a point where they are like, listen, I'm strong, I'm enough, I'm
Mm.
empowered enough, I'm strong enough, I'm this enough, I'm that enough. And constantly catch yourself every time you feel that you are coming from a space of lack. So for me, empowerment is something that it's everyone's fighting for it, everyone is wanting to feel that way, but there are certain general rules and general guidelines to go by. At the same time, every person, every fight, and every search for any of this is very, very individual, and we all have to take it, ourselves, and go through the grind. It's not a magic pill that's going to be given to you and things will change overnight. So I'm sorry, but life, and especially all its failures, all its rejections, if you learn to kind of take it in the right way, take it, your attitude towards that changes.
Mm.
It can, the same failures can start making you feel, uh, can start giving you strength to actually take the next step rather than taking you 10 steps back. So
Mm.
yeah.
Exactly. I think what I sort of have an issue with a lot of times is when people say, "Oh, that's life." I'm like, is that really life though, or is that just our way of just dismissing something bad that's happened to us because we have no other explanation? I just think people itself, when they say that's life, it's like, is it really life as well? Because sometimes it's us humans who make life. So technically, it's not actually life. If you get what I mean, it's almost like a double-edged sword where you can't sort of win as well.
Anuj, I personally feel life is always in your favor. It's never against you.
Mm.
It's a notion that a lot of people catch on to for different reasons, and I understand that. I also held on to it for a long time, but I have really come to understand that life is never against you. It's always trying to teach you something.
Yeah.
And because it loves you so much, till the time you don't get it, it keeps on teaching you. It keeps on giving you opportunities, giving you situations to just make you learn that one lesson and then move on. So yeah, I truly believe that. And I think this one perspective change of this kind, and it changes so much. It changes a lot of things for you, the way you look at things.
No, definitely. And speaking of change, I'm sure you obviously heard the news about Sushant Singh Rajput passing away. I think it's been a real blow, I think, to all of us. I mean, I don't think we'll ever be able to recover from this, and it breaks my heart because he was such a great talent. But I think the sort of conversation that I think that we should be starting as well, most importantly, especially in the entertainment industry, is awareness of mental health in particular. How do you think a healthy conversation and more helpful and effective conversation can start by this? How do you think we can start doing that?
Um, well, for me, mental health is a lot to do with your EQ, the emotional quotient. And there is something new that's come in, which is called adversity quotient. So you might be your IQ might be very, very strong. It might be very high, but it does not necessarily make you capable of handling other things in life. So again, it comes back to the balance, of everything. Like I remember growing up, and there was so much of importance and stress upon IQs. Oh, my child has this IQ and that IQ, and oh, what is your IQ? But these terms were not really there, but now we are kind of, hearing about them, and we are understanding how everything is important. So when you talk about health, I mean, I honestly don't know what is it that's actually more important than feeling healthy. And when I say healthy, I I really don't mean physical health. I mean, you could be going to the gym, you could be exercising, which is great, but it doesn't make you healthy in the right way. You need to have emotional health in place. You need to have your mental health in place. You need to have your spiritual health in place. And I can't. Again, I think spirituality is a subject which I do not wish to get into right now. But trust me, when you talk about mental health, the the path of spirituality, if there's anybody listening who's kind of, who's been on this path, or who has had this understanding,
Yeah, I get it.
it it goes a long way in taking care of everything, in taking care of your mental health and emotional health that we are talking about. you know and for me that's been my path. That's what has made me. It's almost like, I won't say it's a shortcut. It cannot be a shortcut because there's a lot going on there. But it almost sidelines all the steps you need to go, take when you
Right.
talk about communication. You talk about, conversations and sharing and expressing yourself and all of that. It just like it's just like when spirituality becomes a part of your life, and there is so much that starts falling in place by itself when you almost bypass a lot of steps in between, and you reach at that point where you actually feel in balance. So yes, but I completely understand that a lot of people see spirituality as, अरे ये तो मतलब जब retirement हो जाए, life पूरी खत्म हो जाए, तब लोग कुछ करते हैं. This is
Yeah.
another notion which people have, but which is
Yeah.
also changing, because there are a lot of youngsters who are kind of taking to it and getting to it. And I so wish that not just education about the importance of mental health and emotional health is introduced in schools. I mean, of course, there are a lot of schools now which have started, which have counselors, which have child psychologists and all of that. They are a part of your team now, in a lot of schools. But which is a great step, which I really feel is a great step. But I so wish that spirituality actually becomes
Yeah.
also is given the same importance in schools. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, of course, I really believe that when a child is growing up, from the age of whatever, from two till about 10, those are like the formative years, and every experience a child has during that time, in the house, in the school, with his friends, in the society, everything leaves an impact. And I think, as I said, if this is the step, if we can take care of those experiences, and not the experiences but the interpretations of those experiences at that age, people can grow up to be grow up to see the world objectively.
Yeah.
They can grow up to be healthy again, because they have understood, they have interpreted things correctly at the right age. Of course, if you are already a grown up, and you have issues, it's great. There's nothing like having a family or having friends who you can really talk your heart to. That's, I think providing a space of love and freedom of expression in homes, in schools, between, in workplaces. It's a very healthy thing to have. And not all, I understand, there are not all problems that are solvable at this level. So if you realize that there is something, this whole taboo attached to mental health problems needs to really, be dealt with. Because I mean, till people start seeing it as having a cough and going to a doctor, you know people will not seek help. There is so
Exactly.
much there's so much shame attached to it that it's impossible. So I think the awareness needs to surely happen, that there are professionals available who can do their best to tackle your issues. But you know what, Anuj, as I said, you could talk to someone, you could have professional help, you could take medication, but there's a lot of work that you need to keep doing throughout, on a day-to-day basis to really bring balance into your life,
Sure.
to bring peace into your life. And
Mm.
I was talking about spirituality, but apart from, even if you're seeking professional help, what about meditating on the side? What about
Mm.
introducing, meditation and, any kind of anything like that actually brings you together?
Yeah.
So it's
Peace.
a combination of a lot of things, and I'm so sorry, but
Mm.
um also, Anuj, another thing is we all start believing that, oh, isko kya problem hai, iski life to bilkul sahi hai, iski to set hai,
Exactly.
isko
Mm.
kya karna hai. This whole comparison, we have to get one thing straight. My problems might be different from yours, but I still have my problems,
Mm.
so and you feeling like a victim about your problems is not going to solve your problem. I'm sorry, but that's not the solution. So everyone has their problems, and everyone has to deal with it.
Yeah.
You can find out the ways, but you have to, the problems are never going to end.
No.
So if you think that you'll reach a point where, oh, there are no more problems in my life, that's never going to happen.
No. And
What you can do is, what you can do is, again, talking about empowerment, you can empower yourself enough through all these things
mm.
to become this person who doesn't lose his shit in a way that he loses everything, when a problem comes at him. It's like the storm comes, it's like these trees, the storm comes, they bend all the way if they have to protect themselves, and then they stand back again. So
Mm.
the storms are going to keep coming. You have to, your base has to be so strong that it holds you no matter what's happening in your life.
But Kirti, I think two things actually I've got to say here is that yes, I completely agree, and I think people around us have to be kind because everyone is fighting a battle of some sort, whether it's fierce, whether it's subtle. And secondly, you talked about you have to have a strong base, and from the sort of description that I've heard from you, it seems like you've gone through that process, because even getting to that stage where you have a strong base, it is a process, and it can take a lot of time, and it can be very difficult as well for someone who is feeling very very or is going through a particular illness like depression or anxiety for that matter. um so how did you get to that process where you have that strong base? What did you do to get there? Was there a particular incident that sparked you to get that balance, or did you always just have this balance from the start?
No. I have not had this balance always, and it'll be really wrong to say that I am completely in balance even today. I mean, I have my moments, I have my times, but the difference is that I know how to come back to my center, much more quickly than I ever did. So that's the difference I was talking about. It's not like things are not happening to me. It's not like I'm not going through shit, but I just I just know how to come back. I just know how to hold on to myself, and know that this is also going to pass. But yes, talking about my journey, yes, it's um, well, I might have had some curiosity in terms of God and spirituality when I was a child. But yes, there was a time that I did go through, I think, a bout of depression when I was in a, there was a phase that I was in a relationship, and things happened, and I didn't even realize what happened to me. Like, it took me some 2-3 months to even realize that this, to be even diagnosed that this could be something like that, because also, again, I'm talking about the taboo so strongly now, not just because it's prevalent, but also the fact that I was one of those who was like, no, I was told to go and seek some professional help, and I was like, no, but I'm not mad. I literally said
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what we all do. So yes, so when that happened, and then I, ended up going to my sister's a doctor. I spoke to her, and I just couldn't understand what was happening, and I didn't want to go to anybody who actually could understand what was happening. And
Mm.
I had to deal with all of it myself. Of course, my family was there, my parents were there, my people were there to support me, and I mean, thank God, but it kind of came back on track, slowly and steadily, like within 3-4 months by myself. But it was a phase that I cannot forget, because when I look back at it now, and I'm like, what the fuck was going on? Like, oh my God,
Mm.
it's like, it's that feeling of spiraling down, and you don't
Yes.
even know
Yeah.
how deep is the ditch. You
Yes.
just don't know where it's going to end.
It literally
And
feels like a Dementor. I'm not sure if you've seen Harry Potter or if you're a Potterhead,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like it
yeah,
feels like it
yeah,
literally feels
exactly.
like a Dementor. It sucks the
Yeah,
energy out of you. You know?
yeah, absolutely. And so I think, so yes, but also when I spoke about spirituality to you, Anuj, um, uh, that's when that also I started. I I actually chose that path. So while I couldn't seek professional help from a whatever psychiatrist or a counselor or whatever, and as I said, thankfully came back on track, by myself, with just doing some things. But that's when I was that's when something was triggered inside me, and it told me that there has to be another way. There has to be, I have to find, um I have to heal. That's a strong word that's always been, constantly in a part of my life. For the last couple of years, that word has also I've kind of gone beyond that word as well, and I'm trying something else, and I'm, what do you say, on a slightly different,
Yeah.
looking at things from a different perspective, from
Right.
spirituality perspective. But healing is something that just stuck with me then, and I remember the same, within those 4-5 months, when as I said, I was getting better. I met someone, and someone recommended Reiki to me. I don't know if you know what Reiki is. And so Reiki is a form of touch healing. It's basically, you take the life energy, and you heal yourself. Like, you can heal yourself physically, and it's a healing that happens on, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. And I am a big, big, big believer of Reiki. And at the same time, I did the first course and the second course, and something just connected with Reiki. It's almost like I found an anchor. It's something like I just found a way to have things in my control again, feel like I can do this. I can heal myself. And this is another thing that I want to tell everybody. You 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 we all have help around us in different forms, in the form of different people. Something you hear, something you read. I mean, and that's when my this journey kind of really started. And over the years, I have done a lot of courses here and there, tried to understand things from different perspectives, read a lot of books on spirituality. And yeah, here I am,
Wow.
that I can sit down and talk about
Reflect over
that
it.
experience as a third person, and go like, yeah, it's okay. It happened, you know.
I think it's, you know what, more power to you for doing that. And I just want to tell the viewers as well who are watching this, you know, it's always important to get help. You know, if you're feeling any sort of symptoms of any mental health illness, please know that you're not alone and you have the power. You can honestly beat this, and you're loved and valued. Please never forget that. But I think, Kirti, I think that was just really incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that experience with us.
You're
Um,
welcome.
so, you know, earlier in the conversation, we sort of mentioned, you mentioned about the digital space and the impact of how that's, how the OTT platform in particular is having an impact on the way audience consumes content and their sort of desire for the content as well. So obviously you've for it, and you've been quite a, you know, notable face on there as well, with obviously Bard of Blood and Four More Shots Please, which, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Four More Shots Please. I love the show. So what has been the greatest advantage for you as an actor by doing such web content?
I think the greatest advantage is the fact that my work has reached the world. You know, it's not just limited to India and Indian people watching it. I mean, of course, it's Indian people. It could be a lot of Indian people abroad, you know, internationally as well. But yeah, my work has reached everywhere, and I think for me, as an actor, as an artist, it's a big. It feels like a big thing, because when you do something, when you have created something, you want it to reach as many people as possible. And in fact, I have almost people saw me as someone who does you know, very niche kind of films, you know, has a niche kind of an audience and all of
Yeah.
that. um, so the fact that my you know, it's like when you do something and you're like, why aren't people getting it, you know? Why is the majority going after that stuff and not really wanting to consume something that's meaningful, something that is trying to say something? And I think with OTT, my this wish has been granted, and my
Mm,
work is reaching everyone who's
mm,
ready to see something that, you know, that could make a difference. And
yeah.
that's a source of big happiness for me.
And plus,
And again, no censorship.
mm, I was going to literally say actually, because the fact that you're not bound by box office pressure or the Fridays, as actors often
I hate it.
say.
I hate it.
I don't blame
I'm so not a, like, in fact, it's always been like a little thing inside me, and I'm like, I am an artist, I'm an actor. Why do I have to prove myself? Why isn't my work enough? Why do I have to prove myself through numbers? You know
you.
what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
And OTT has completely, again, another wish granted. Wow, I have a lot thank OTT for, actually. So yeah,
definitely.
I think that pressure off you is so amazing, because you just do your thing, you do
Yeah,
it to the best of your ability. There is so much people are trying to do so much, such new things, you know, on OTT, trying out you know, going into places which Bollywood doesn't even like look at, you know. And I think for me, that gives me a lot of satisfaction and gratification, that uh, whatever I came here for, you know, the whole idea of being an actor is getting fulfilled in ways that I can't even express. And it's so personal to me, you know. Acting
yeah,
is so personal to me. What I try and do is so personal to me that um, I just feel overwhelmed when I see
yeah,
this change happening, and me being a part of that change. So I'm
yeah.
so grateful.
No, absolutely. And I think it's wonderful because we get to see a very different side to Kirti, because I think what we saw on the big screen was, like you mentioned, very like sort of intense
Serious actor,
roles. Intense, what did you say?
serious actor.
Yeah, exactly. Serious sides. Like, I mean, it's funny actually because I was messaging Kubra and I did tell her, I was like, when I saw Indu Sarkar, you kind of reminded me of Ravina Tandon from Satta a little bit. Like, I
Comes
kind
up.
of,
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know
it's the
if,
same. It's the same director.
I know exactly that. I know, probably that's why. But yeah,
Probably that's why.
no, but I think it's incredible to see this sort of different side to your sort of versatile side, I think, on the OTT platform. So I'm really glad that we've been able to see that. But okay, Four More Shots Please season 2 has ended on such an intense level. Like I mean, it's just
No,
less.
but it's nothing, it's not even like close to being as dramatic as season one ending. So yeah, I mean, yes, it is what it is, but I think people could just like be like, huh, season 3 to aane wala hai.
Yeah, like I think that's, you know what, to be very honest, I think because like season two was also made at the time when Amazon Prime was just reaching its peak in India, and it just was still relatively new.
No, did you say season 1?
Season one.
No, but this was when actually Amazon was just getting started. It was one of the first three,
Yeah,
four shows to be actually launched. Yeah.
exactly. So all of the other shows as well had that sort of vibe, but they were trying to get that formula right of how to make the content. So I can completely understand why it was over dramatic and stuff. I can completely sort of see why. But season two, I think, ended on a big cliffhanger actually, because I think obviously the marriage was left adhuri. I think Manvi Gagru's character's dad died
Father dies.
father
Yeah.
dies. You obviously your affair gets kind of exposed. And a lot of
Basically, all the girls have managed to dump their partners in season 2. By the end of it, that's what has happened.
all right. So my burning question is, and I'm sure everyone watching this interview is dying to know, when is Four More Shot season 3 releasing, and what can we expect?
I think now people should start asking this question: when do you start shooting for season 3? Considering
Oh, I forgot that.
considering it's Corona and I'm sitting at home and Zoom interviewing like all the time, should tell people that we have not even started shooting for it. And so yes, when we are done with it, we will surely let you know when is season 3 coming.
Do you know what you should do? You should just make season 3 a Zoom special. Like what you should do is show everything that's happening and put it over Zoom. How wicked would that be? Imagine. You all will be
No
revolutionary.
idea what like, I know Zoom has like been a part of our lives through Corona, but we are so Former Shots team is so done with Zoom. You have no idea. We will go for some lovely locations and some, Bombay, Sobo. I think we
Yeah.
prefer that over Zoom.
Okay. Okay. So obviously at the moment, so you got to shoot for it, of course. I completely forgot. I thought you
Yeah.
might have shot already for it, so I wasn't quite aware. Sorry about that. I thought you would have shot for it, but that's okay. So I guess we can all obviously just wait till Corona and lockdown sort of fully ends and things go back to as being as normal as possible. But I think exciting times also lie ahead for you. I believe you've got a short film in the lineup. You've got Shadistan, I believe, as well.
Yes.
But most important, I think one of the big ones, which I am excited for, is The Girl on the Train. Yeah, yeah. So, what's the status on that? And how was your experience of working on the film, working with Pariniti Chopra, Avinash Tiwari? Uh, I think Aditya Rao Hydari is in the film as well.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, again, Girl on the Train is another, like, it is one of my favorites, and I'm really very, very excited about it. Just today, I was asked not to talk anything about Girl on the Train, so I can't say much about the film, but I'll tell you about my experience. I think the best part of Girl on the Train was actually being on the train in London. So how did I even make this PJ? Anuj, you don't have to react to this PJ, okay? But yeah, I just completely loved. I'd never been to London before, and London has been like a city. I'm like, kab jaungi, and I'd almost like it's a dream, which was almost like, छोड़ो यार, पता नहीं कब होगा, क्या होगा. And here I am, suddenly, going to London for a month. So I was so thrilled about it, and well, the team is lovely. I'd worked with Ripu on Bar of Blood
Out of Blood.
already, so I had a good equation with him anyway, and I was literally like shooting and traveling and like all around London and eating at places and cafes and coffees and watching plays and like just like it was so it's like, oh my god, I think about it and I go like, wow, when can I go back? It's
Yeah.
literally
लॉकडाउन से पहले लाइफ कितनी अच्छी थी. Yeah.
and of course, yeah, the team. I mean, I didn't really know any of them. I mean, I had met Aditi once or twice socially, and Pariniti I'd never met. So,
Hmm.
the best thing about today, our generation of actors or people, who are working is like, there's a very chilled out vibe about everybody. There is
Hmm.
no, everybody just comes, has fun, does their job, and just like,
Relax.
just like
Yeah.
chilling. Yeah, it's very nice, and
Quite funny you say that because the film is quite intense. I mean, the Hollywood film that the
that's
film is.
exactly why you need to have fun. Otherwise, we are all gonna go into depression.
Yeah, true.
So
Actually, yeah, I
the
can
more
confirm.
intense, the more intense the film, the more chilled out you need to be, to just kind of balance it out. And
Yeah.
it was a great one, bahut maza aaya. And of course, we'll talk more about it when things are
100%.
closer to
Oh,
the release.
oh, don't worry. I'll be sure to make sure like we sort of talk about this in great length as well. But I
Yeah.
think Kirti, on a final note as well, before I let you go, lockdown has been a very unprecedented time for a lot of us. It's been, I think, this whole period of coronavirus outbreak and lockdown has been quite difficult, especially for the Indian film industry in particular. We've had so many, dear colleagues and friends pass away, due to illnesses and of course due to sort of tragic circumstances as well. So, what has been the greatest change for you throughout this whole process of lockdown, and how do you think that change will positively affect you in your life?
Well, it's been, as you said, it's been a time that has brought a lot of shit to the surface. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
uh,
mm,
it's everything that we didn't want to confront in ourselves, in the people around, in the society, in the systems. It's all come to the surface, and which personally I mean, I see as a very good sign, because it's the, if you keep suppressing, if you keep brushing things under the carpet, if you keep pushing things away, it's not like they go away. It's they just wait for. It's like a volcano. They just come out. They just
yeah,
erupt,
erupts. Mm,
and they erupt with so much force. And I think that's what Corona has done, uh,
mm,
for a lot of people, for everybody actually.
yeah.
And some people have responded to it, again, as I spoke about, whether you believe life is against you or is it for you. The attitude, it's the attitude with which people have handled these tough times. Because I really believe tough times are here to just teach you something. And I know there are a lot of people who'll agree with me on this. So personally speaking, about me personally, again, a lot of introspection, a lot of me time, a lot of um, confrontations with myself about things that were, again, being avoided and all of that. Like, there's no more avoiding. You can't run away from it anymore. There's
Mm,
no way to go. There are no distractions. You can't go to parties. You can't call friends. You can't just, like, be like, okay, it's okay. No, it's what is not okay is something that you need to face today. And
mm,
so yes, it has surely added to my being a calmer person, being a more balanced person, being able to see, uh, minimalism is something that I have been a fan of for quite some time. But corona, this whole time, and staying at home and realizing how little you actually need to be happy, to actually live, is something that's just like
yeah.
it's a change that's going to stay with me forever.
Mm,
I'm never going back to being that person who's just like collecting things and hoarding things and spending money just because I have it.
yeah.
And also the fact that I think also the fact that um, this has been a big one, and there are a lot of like smaller, and not smaller things, but a lot of personal clarity that's come to me. Whether, and you know what, people say personal clarity and professional clarity. There is nothing separate from your own self. Whether it's your work, it's your personal life, it's all decided based on who you are as a person, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of clarity and understanding and balance has come to me, which I'm very sure is going to reflect in my attitude towards life and towards people and the way I handle things.
Yeah.
And while I have always been someone who likes to help people, this time um, this time especially has made me, you know, be like, of course there's no work, there's no money as such coming in, but there is a desire in me which is basically like, you know what, I want to be able to make money to be able to help others, you know.
Yeah.
And while that has been a thought, actually doing that throughout this period, by you know, I could have held on to, oh no, this is what I have, I need to save it. It's not like, you know, I'm on the roads or something, no, not like that, but depending on
Yeah.
what's coming in and what I'm giving, most like.
Yeah. So yeah, you were saying you just want to be more compassionate and just be more understanding and just be.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been that person, but yeah, this, you know, it's almost like we always want to save, you know. Firstly, it's not very easy for people to share what they have, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are this situation has kind of made me go like, again, I think it's also connected to minimalism, that, you know what, I don't need so much money. What can I
Yeah.
do with this money?
Mm.
You know, can I use this to help someone? Can I make someone's life better? Can I take any of the stress away for people close to me and people outside, you know, and this and that? And it just made me I mean, while money is not everything, it's not, I mean, it's not that I'm not driven by money, you know, of making money, but money is important, you know, and money is important. You realize this, I think a lot of people have realized this during Corona, and I hope that this realization doesn't turn into greed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is what in a lot of ways led us to Corona, you know,
Yeah.
the greed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I hope again people are able to see things for what they are, see them objectively, and not hold on to all that doesn't serve you, you know. And being greedy in any which way doesn't serve anybody, you know.
No.
So it might
Yeah.
feel like it's serving you, but it's doing you more damage, you know. So
Absolutely.
just
Just be
learning to
human.
share, man, whatever you
Yeah.
have.
And just be human. I think that's the most important message
Yeah,
that we can conclude on as well. Thank you so much on behalf of Filme Shilmy for joining me on today's conversation. Thank you.
thank you so much for having me, Anuj, and yeah, you take care, and I will
Yes,
see you sometime.
definitely. Absolutely. Cool. Take
Thank you
care.
everyone for watching.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Kirti, once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuj. Take care.